So this is the new Sigma 10 to 18mm f2.8 lens. This is coming out now for Sony E mount, for Fujifilm X mount, and for L mount as well. This is a very, very small, lightweight, nice kind of ultra wide angle zoom lens designed for APS-C cameras. I've been going out using this with Sony E mount for the last few days, taking photos, doing some video, because this is quite an interesting focal length to play around with. It's a great kind of all-rounder. And because it's designed for APS-C cameras with a little bit of a crop, you're looking at more like 15 or 16 millimeters up to about something around 30 mil, which gives you, roughly that 16 to 35 kind of feel, but a very, very small lens and a nice bright aperture as well, f2.8. So of course, you probably don't need me to tell you this is going to be great for stuff like landscape, architecture, cityscape stuff, but also things like portrait, lower light situations, even a bit of night sky stuff. Because of that nice fast f2.8 aperture, you can be able to let lots and lots of light in, but you're not carrying around this really big, really kind of heavy lens. It sits really nicely on the front of something like the A6700, or if you wanted to shoot it on Fujifilm, something like the X-T5, this is going to fit really, really nicely on the front of those cameras. So we'll come back to the design of this lens, the build quality in a minute, but let's talk about image quality, because I think that's probably one of the most important things with any lens really, but certainly a lens like this. And of course, like I say, you've got a nice focal range to play around with here, right? So going from really quite wide angle, which does allow you to capture some really nice wide vistas, some nice landscapes, great for inside buildings, architectural stuff, cityscape stuff, fitting lots in the frame. You can zoom in a little bit as well. That's going to be better for things like maybe portraits even. But the main thing I noticed is the image quality is really, really nice. This is lovely and sharp. You've got great contrast, great colors, and that sharpness is right out to the corners as well. Now, something that you might be concerned about with a lens like this is stuff like vignetting or barrel distortion. That's always something to keep an eye on when it comes to wide angle zoom lenses like this. Now, there is a little bit of vignetting. With the in-camera corrections turned on, it really is almost unnoticeable, and certainly is very, very easy to correct in editing, in post, when you come to actually edit your photos. Super, super easy. And same with the distortion as well. I really didn't notice much there at all. If you turn those in-camera corrections off, it is much more noticeable. It's a little bit darker with the vignetting. The distortion, especially at 10 millimeters, is much more noticeable. But in-camera corrections now are really, really very good. For me, I'd always have them turned on, so it's not something that I would really think too much about. And like I say, with them turned on, just really not much of a problem here at all. So ultimately, in terms of image quality, no matter really what you want to be shooting, you're gonna be able to capture some really beautiful images with this lens. And that's true for video as well. There's a few advantages for using a lens like this for video. First of all, the focal range is fantastic for kind of an all-rounder video lens, whether you want to be filming yourself, whether you want to be filming establishing shots, whatever it might be. It's a great focal range to use for that kind of stuff. But also the size and the weight of this makes it very easy to mount this onto a gimbal without worrying about, kind of weight issues. It's just gonna be super easy to actually use this. There's no image stabilization actually in the lens, which is probably the main thing that I would be missing from a lens like this. But that said, that is probably why it's able to be so small and lightweight. They don't have to fit any of that in there. So to be honest, as a kind of trade-off, and especially with a wide angle lens where you might have more of a forgiving time when it comes to, what you need image stabilization for, I think the trade-off makes sense. Keep it small, keep it light, keep it easy to use. So let's talk about the design a little bit here. So obviously I've mentioned hundreds of times that it's small and light. I think you get that now. But in terms of the actual zoom ring and then the manual focus ring as well, I've got to say, something that I always pick up on if I like it is the weighting of this feels really good. That zoom ring feels great. Obviously, it's not a very kind of thick or deep zoom ring because it's not going to be, right? It's not a very big lens. There's not going to be that much room, but it does feel good to actually turn. Same with the manual focus ring as well. Otherwise, there are no other controls actually on the lens itself, which I think makes sense. Keep it sleek, keep it small, keep the design nice and kind of tidy like this. Works really well. To be honest, if you are looking for a wide angle zoom lens for an APS-C camera, so something like the Sony a6700, something like a Fujifilm X-T5, this is a fantastic option. You're going to get some lovely image quality using this for photo, for video. The actual size and the weight of this works so well in those kinds of ecosystems. You've got that nice fast aperture, which just allows you even more versatility with kind of times of day that you can shoot, how much light you're going to be able to let in, the kinds of stuff you're going to be able to get. This really is a very lovely lens. So you can check this out for yourself by following the links down in the description. Go and check all that out, pricing, full spec, all that kind of stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. We've got new stuff all the time. I will see you in the next video, but until then, as always, thanks for watching.